Alright, what's up guys? Today I'm going to be showcasing my brand new Prankids deck here. Deck sort of got hit, no more Summon Sorceress, a little frustrating. Can't do the full Thunder Dragon combos anymore, but I think I've come up with a few resolutions to make it still very, very good and playable. Definitely a very good rogue deck, worth picking up for sure. Got 3 copies of Lampsies to begin with. This one, when you use it for fusion material or link material, you inflict 500 life points and then special summon another Prankids monster that's not Prankids Lampsies from your deck. Got 3 copies of Prankids Roxy's. This one's one of my favorite because of the engine I'm playing here. Basically, after you use it as material for link or fusion, you get to banish a card in your hand and then draw a card. I love it. It is gets you fresh cards and it lets you banish stuff you don't need in the slightest. Very, very good. And then you summon obviously another Prankids monster. That's not it. This is another very good one, Prankids Fansies. When this one is used for material, you can send a card from deck to graveyard, and there are a lot of cards in this deck that let you recur cards from the graveyard, so it's very, very good. And on top of that, you get to obviously special summon another one, and it's also a Thunder, so it can summon Thunder Dragon Colossus. Then we've got 3 copies of Prankids Dropsies. When this one is used as material, you gain 1,000 life points, and you summon another one. And again, it's level 2, so it can be used to special summon. Totally awesome. Got 2 copies of King of the Swamps. I like this because it gets me a polymerization, and also, yeah, they can call by the grave this card, and they can ash this card. But I guess it eats up a negate, and not only that, it's also a water, so you can actually return it to your hand after you use. Totally awesome. You can return this to your hand, which is very, very good. We've got 3 copies of the regular Thunder Dragon. I like this very, very much. I think it synergizes well with Prankids Roxy's because you can ban it. You can use basically use 1 to get 2 to your hand, and then you have extra cards in your hand, so you can use Roxy's to banish this to get cards you actually want to draw. Then we've got 3 copies of Prankids Palace. When this card is activated, you add a Prankids monster from your deck to your hand, and then when you summon a Link monster, I think you lower your opponent's attack, and then when you summon a fusion, you increase your own attack, which is pretty good, and it does that to all monsters, so it even increases. Totally awesome. And Thunder Dragon Colossus. We play 3 copies of Prankids Pandemonium. This is the fusion spell. It's a quick play, but you can only activate in main phase. But since it synergizes with their entire archetype, you can bring it back from your graveyard, keep reusing it. It's very, very good for that. Play 3 copies of Prankids Pranks. Prankids Pranks is basically discard a card, special summon a token. It has to be a Prankids card. Special summon a token, and then you can use it for link places just in case you don't draw polymerization of some kind. Use it for all types of link plays, and then at the end phase, and one of its craziest effects is you shuffle 3 cards, Prankids cards from your graveyard into your deck, and then draw 1 card, which is really, really good because it gives you things in your hand to fuse away with Pandemonium during their turn. Play 2 copies of Terraforming, 3 copies of Polymerization, very important. Best combo you could have is Polymerization and 2 Prankids, and then we also play 2 copies of Invocation. Because this is essentially the same exact thing as Polymerization. It fuses 2 cards in the hand. All of the rest of the text is irrelevant. It lets you fusion summon 2 cards in the hand. So that is very good. And so the cards you want to draw are 2 Prankids in any of these. That's your optimal, best possible combo. Then also 1 copy of Reasoning. Every single one of them is a different level. You've got level 3, level 4, level 1, and level 2. So your opponent's always going to get it wrong no matter what, and I don't play any hand traps in the main deck, so 9 times out of 10 they'll get it wrong. Alright, sorry, not 9 times out of 10, 3 times out of 4 they'll get it wrong. We've got Twin Twisters, also 3 copies of Twin Twisters, and there's nothing more annoying right now than Mystic Mine. So I keep these in the main deck, and if your opponent doesn't use them, it gives you stuff to side out, because remember, you don't want to side out. None of this stuff is sideable. Like, all of this stuff at the bottom, you can't really side out. You don't want to side out your Prankids cards. You don't want to side out Polymerization. You don't want to side out Pandemonium or Terraforming or anything, stuff like that. This is the kind of stuff you want to side out. Stuff like Twin Twisters, stuff like Thunder Dragon if you're going second because you don't really care about You don't really care about that much. So what you want to side out is this stuff. You don't want to side out your main combo cards. Now we've got 3 copies of Instant Fusion. This is another one, just a combo extender. There are two targets for this in the extra deck, which are both Praying Kids cards, so you can link away with them and have some alternate combos just in case you don't draw Polymerization, or you don't draw more than, or you don't draw 2 Praying Kids monsters. So you got to make sure you have some sort of combo just in case. Then we play 2 copies of Praying Kids Plan. This is a very good card. Its first effect is that you can link summon during your opponent's turn, which is really good. It's like immediately after this card is activated, link summon a monster. So it lets you summon into one of the really big ones. And then on top of that, and this is perhaps more importantly, you can banish this from the graveyard when your opponent declares an attack, and shuffle cards back, Prank Kids cards, and then decrease your opponent's attack by 100 for each Prank Kids card in the graveyard. So it's very good because it shuffles all your resources back, and then you get to go into all these Prank Kids all over again. It never ends. So that is the main deck. Next we'll go to the extra deck. Play 2 copies of Praying Kids Doodle Doodle Doo. Because this one, when you summon it, you get the Search a Praying Kids card, and then you tribute it to add 2 Praying Kids cards back to your hand. And this is, both of these effects are during your turn. You've got Praying Kids Wolf Bark. This one you contribute during your opponent's turn, summon back 2 Praying Kids cards, and then they can't be destroyed by, I think it's card effects or battle. Destroyed by opponent's card effects this turn. Praying Kids cards can't be destroyed by opponent's card effects. And then also, any card that points to it gains the attack. Got 1 copy of Praying Kids Rip Roaring Rooster. This one, when you tribute it, you get to destroy all your opponent's spawn trap cards. So, you make this, all their effects go off, and then you tribute and get rid of it. Very good during end phase against stuff like Mystic Mine. You always gotta, if you go first against Mystic Mine, you always gotta make that. So you can just activate it during their end phase. And it's also a quick effect. 1 copy of Nightmare Unicorn to out things. 1 Borload Dragon for big monsters that are difficult to get over. 3 copies of Prank Kids Rocket Ride. I think this is the most important one. This one, when it's special summoned, you can half its attack to make it. You make it 1,000 attack, and then it can attack directly. And that sounds completely irrelevant, and it is. The good thing about that is it can chain block everything else, because you basically activate Polymerization, you send the 2 to the graveyard, this hits the field, and then you can activate their effects, chain link 1, 2, and you activate this chain link 3, so you automatically chain block all of that with this totally irrelevant effect, and they can't activate Ash to stop the 2 cards in the graveyard. It's absolutely fantastic. And sometimes you'll activate this as chain link 3, and you'll have idiotic opponents, and they'll effect Veiler this or something. And it's completely irrelevant that this gets effect Veilered. Then we've got 2 copies of Praying Kids Weather Washer. This thing is pretty good. When you tribute, you contribute it during your opponent's turn to special summon 2 Praying Kids cards. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, during your turn, you contribute this to summon 2 Praying Kids cards to your side of the field. Very important. And then this one, during your opponent's turn, you contribute to summon 2 Praying Kids cards from your graveyard to your side of the field. It can't be destroyed by battle. You've got 1 Praying Kids Battle Butler. This one lets you tribute it and destroy all cards and all monsters on your opponent's side of the field. Also, it's a Thunder, so just in case you need to make a Colossus or something, you can, which I have right here, Thunder Dragon Colossus. This one, basically, if you draw Thunder Dragon, you can always make a Colossus. And Thunder Dragon is a +1, which I like probably most about it. And 1 copy of Totally Awesome. Totally Awesome is amazing. You can very easily make it on turn 1. Put a negates on board. Very, very good card. We've got the side deck here. Play 3 copies of... Basically, the side deck is built almost entirely to go second, except for 1 card. But we've got 3 copies of Dino Wrestler Pinkertops. 3 copies of Dino Wrestler Pinkertops. Again, this is just to go second. Your worst matchup is stuff that plays Floodgates. Floodgates are the worst for this deck because this deck is it's tough enough with this deck. You're really going through an uphill battle, but when they have something like a Gozen match, or something like a Gozen match, or something like a what is it called? Like a Rivalry of the Warlords, or something like that. It's even worse. And then if they have anti-spell fragrance, I mean, it sucks so bad. So you need cards like this just to out that kind of stuff. Going second, this stuff's important. Then we've got 3 copies of Ash. Again, the deck is built to go mostly first, and I don't really like having too many hand traps in the main deck. But if you need to interrupt your opponent, this is very good against Altergeist, which is your worst matchup. Like they activate personal spoofing, shuffle in for cost, and you ash them. It's great. It's fantastic. -1 for them. We got 3 copies of Evenly Matched. Very good against True Dracos, and Altergeist also good against Sky Strikers. Good against a lot of decks. Not the best against multi negate decks, but pretty good against the decks that it needs to be good against. If they red reboot you, it's totally irrelevant because you don't use trap cards anyway. Got 3 copies. I mean, yeah, 3 copies of Red Reboot. This is again like the whole main deck is basically built to destroy really really annoying decks that put a bunch of floodgates on the field. That the entire side deck is meant for that. And remember, the side deck has a bunch of stuff, like extra stuff like Twin Twisters and Reasoning, and stuff like this and this, just cards that you can side out without having to destroy your own engine, because the worst thing that you could do is side out your own engine, because then you're definitely going to lose. And then we've got 3 copies of There Can Only Be One. This is the only floodgate that can be played in this deck without annoying itself. Basically, you summon your typical end board is going to be something like a Colossus, a Totally Awesome, a Prank Kids monster, and then maybe like a Pandemonium face down, and possibly this. If you can add this into that mix, it's absolutely phenomenal. This you basically always side in if your opponent's not playing. If your opponent plays like what are they called? If your opponent's not playing something that Twin Twister is very good against, like if they're playing like what is it called, like Thunder Dragons or something, and like Twin Twisters is relevant against them, you side this in, because this is very good against Thunder Dragons. But that is basically it. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the deck profile, and have a good one.